Let's be honest, one of the hardest things to deal with in a twin flame connection is silence. You know that moment where everything feels like it's flowing, the energy is strong, and then suddenly, it's like a wall comes down. The masculine energy retreats, they stop communicating. The warmth you felt seems to vanish into thin air, and instantly your mind goes into overdrive. Did I do something wrong? Are they rejecting me? Is it over? That silence can feel like rejection, abandonment, even betrayal. But here's the truth. It's none of those things. The silence of the divine masculine isn't about pushing you away forever. It's about them stepping into a rite of passage that they have to go through. It's about transformation. It's about growth. When we talk about the twin flame journey, we're talking about two souls on parallel tracks, both being pushed and stretched to evolve into their fullest selves. And while the divine feminine usually awakens first, feeling the pull, the spiritual depth, the undeniable connection, the divine masculine often takes a different route. Their awakening is quieter, slower, and wrapped in silence. This silence is not an ending. It's part of the initiation. It's a rite of passage that prepares them to step fully into the connection with you. But to understand it, you need to see beyond the surface. You need to recognize what's really happening beneath that quiet. So in this narration, we're going to unpack this silence in detail. We'll look at why it happens, what it means, how to handle it without losing yourself, and how it ultimately strengthens the journey. I'll break it down into different layers, each about a stage or meaning of the silence. So by the time we're done, you won't just understand it better, you'll actually feel more at peace with it. The first thing you need to know is that silence is not about running from you. It's about running toward themselves. The divine masculine often hasn't yet reached the same level of spiritual awareness as the divine feminine. Their world is usually more external, rooted in responsibilities, logic, and material stability. When the connection hits them, it shakes everything they thought they knew about life, love, and themselves. Now, imagine being hit with feelings so intense they can't explain them. For the masculine, this isn't just love, it's recognition at the soul level. And that's terrifying if they're not ready. Silence becomes the space they retreat into because they don't yet know how to process what they're experiencing. Think of it like a cocoon. When a caterpillar is ready to transform, it doesn't stay out in the open. It goes inward, into stillness. That stillness isn't a rejection of growth. It's the very thing that allows growth to happen. In the same way, the masculine retreats not because they don't care, but because something inside of them is shifting. During this time, they are confronting truths about themselves. They're being shown patterns, fears, and wounds they didn't even realize they carried. It's not pretty, and it's not easy, but it's necessary. Silence gives them the space to face these things without outside pressure. For you, the feminine, this silence is hard because your instinct is to bridge the gap. You want to talk it out, to reassure, to connect. But the silence is part of their awakening, not yours. Your role isn't to break it, it's to respect it. That doesn't mean you sit and wait endlessly. It means you focus on your own journey while trusting that theirs is unfolding too. When you reframe their silence as an inner rite of awakening, it stops feeling like abandonment and starts feeling like transformation in progress. That shift in perspective alone can ease a lot of the pain. Another layer of the silence is fear. Let's not sugarcoat it. The divine masculine often struggles with vulnerability. Opening up at the level that a twin flame connection demands feels like standing naked in front of the universe. It's raw, it's overwhelming, and fear steps in. The silence is often them trying to figure out, can I handle this? Am I enough? What happens if I give in completely and lose myself? These are real, heavy fears. And silence becomes the shield. You might see this as coldness, but it's actually self-protection. They are protecting themselves from the tidal wave of feelings they don't know how to manage yet. They are protecting themselves from the possibility of failure, of disappointing you, of not living up to the connection. This fear is not a sign of weakness. It's part of the human condition. Everyone fears losing control in love, but in a twin flame connection, that fear is magnified 1,000 times. When silence comes from fear, it's a rite of passage, because facing that fear is unavoidable. They can't bypass it. They can't pretend it's not there. The only way forward is to face it. Silence gives them the room to do that. For you, the challenge is not letting their fear trigger your own. Silence often awakens abandonment wounds, insecurities, and doubts in the feminine. If you react by chasing, demanding, or pleading, you reinforce their fear. Instead, the best thing you can do is hold steady. Live your life. Work on your own fears. Let them see by your example that the connection doesn't have to drown them. It can actually liberate them. The silence, then, becomes a mirror for both of you. They face their fear of intimacy and vulnerability. You face your fear of loss and rejection. And in the process, both of you grow stronger. One thing we don't talk about enough is overwhelm. Twin flame energy is intense. It's not like ordinary relationships. When you meet your twin, it feels like your soul has been plugged into a higher voltage. Everything is heightened: love, desire, recognition, healing, pain. And for the divine masculine, that's often too much at once. Silence, in this sense, is a reset button. It's them pulling back to regulate their nervous system, to ground themselves, to find balance. Think of it like trying to drink water from a fire hose. It's too much. They need to step back to breathe, to process, to not feel consumed by it all. This silence is less about fear and more about survival. It's not that they don't want the connection. It's that they need to learn how to carry it without burning out. And that takes time. For the feminine, this period is usually misunderstood. You might think if it was real, they wouldn't pull away. But the truth is, they pull away precisely because it's real. If it didn't matter, they wouldn't need silence. The intensity of what they feel is the reason they step back. During this reset, they are trying to integrate the connection into their everyday life. How do they balance soul-level love with work, family, responsibilities? How do they make sense of something so spiritual in a world that feels so practical? Silence gives them the time to figure that out. The best thing you can do when silence is about overwhelm is to avoid adding more weight. Don't demand answers. Don't pressure. Give them the grace to reset while you do the same for yourself. That way, when the connection comes back into flow, both of you are stronger, calmer, and more aligned. One of the strongest reasons the divine masculine goes quiet is because of independence. From a young age, many men are taught, directly or indirectly, that their worth is tied to how independent they are. They're told they need to provide, to lead, to stand on their own without showing weakness. This conditioning goes deep, and it follows them into adulthood. Now bring in the twin flame connection. Suddenly, they feel something they've never felt before, an unshakable pull towards someone else. It's not just attraction or love, it's dependence at the soul level. They feel like part of their power, their identity, their very sense of self is tied to you. For someone conditioned to see independence as strength, this is unsettling. They fear losing themselves in you. So the silence becomes a way of reclaiming their independence. It's not about rejecting you, and it's not even about doubting the connection. It's about proving to themselves that they are still capable of standing alone. They want to know that they're not just merging with you because they're weak or incomplete, but because they're choosing it from a place of strength. Think about it this way. If someone chooses you because they can't survive without you, that's not true union. It's dependency. But if someone chooses you while knowing they can stand on their own, that's powerful. That's love rooted in freedom, not fear. And that's exactly what the masculine is working toward in his silence. For the feminine, this period can feel confusing. You already understand that the connection is about union and partnership. You already know it's about walking the path together, not proving you can walk it alone. But remember, the masculine hasn't reached that point yet. They need to go through this rite of independence so that when they return, they do so with confidence. This silence teaches you patience. It reminds you not to confuse their silence with rejection. It also gives you space to reflect on your own independence. Are you leaning too much on the connection for your sense of worth? Are you fully grounded in your own identity? This is your mirror too. When the divine masculine comes back from this silence, you'll notice a difference. They'll feel more grounded. Their words will carry more weight because they'll be coming from someone who has faced themselves and stood tall. They'll choose you not because they need you to feel whole, but because they want you to share the journey. and that makes the bond even stronger. The right of independence is not a delay. It's part of the preparation for real union. Without it, the connection risks becoming lopsided, one person leaning too much on the other. With it, both of you can stand strong, side by side. Silence is not empty. It's preparation. And when it comes to twin flames, preparation is everything. Union is not just about coming together physically. It's about coming together as your highest selves. That means healing old wounds, breaking free from limiting beliefs, and aligning with your purpose. It's not easy work, and it doesn't happen quickly. Silence is often the container where this preparation takes place. For the divine masculine, silence is the time where they face their shadow. They're confronted with old pain, family patterns, insecurities, and fears they've avoided for years. In everyday life, it's easy to bury those things under work, social roles, or distractions. But the twin flame connection doesn't let them escape. It forces everything to the surface. Silence gives them the space to deal with it without distraction. This stage is like training. Just like an athlete prepares behind the scenes before stepping into the arena, the masculine prepares in silence before stepping fully into union. They're releasing what no longer serves them. They're learning how to balance their energy. They're gathering the courage to take on a role that's bigger than just being a partner. It's about being an equal soul counterpart. At the same time, the universe is aligning things behind the scenes. The silence may feel like a pause, but it's really movement in disguise. Connections are shifting, lessons are being completed, energy is balancing. The masculine silence is part of that bigger orchestration. For the feminine, this is also a preparation period. It's not about waiting in the corner until they return. It's about deepening your self-love, building your passions, and embodying the life you'd want to share with them. Too many feminines make the mistake of putting their life on hold during this silence, but that slows the process. The truth is, the more you step into your own power, the faster the connection aligns. When you reframe silence as preparation, it changes everything. Instead of feeling abandoned, you start to feel like you're in training for something bigger. You realize that both of you are being prepared for union in different ways. And when the masculine returns, you'll see how necessary this silence was. Without it, neither of you would be ready. With it, you're both stronger, clearer, and more aligned. So silence isn't a waste of time. It's an investment. It's the soil where the roots of union are planted. You may not see growth above the surface yet, but trust that it's happening underground. When you put all of this together, you see silence in a new way. It's not rejection. It's not abandonment. It's a rite of passage. It's the masculine awakening to himself, facing his fears, finding his independence, resetting from overwhelm, and preparing for union. It's easy to see silence as loss, but that's only if you're looking at the surface. If you dig deeper, you'll see that silence is movement. It's growth. It's transformation happening quietly in the background. Your role is not to chase or break their silence. Your role is to honor it, to use it as a mirror for your own growth. To stay steady in your love without losing yourself. To live fully, even when they're not speaking. When you understand silence as sacred, it loses its sting. Instead of fearing it, you respect it. Instead of doubting the connection, you trust the process. And when the masculine emerges from that silence, more grounded and awakened, you'll see that it wasn't a punishment at all. It was a necessary step toward the union you've both been preparing for. Silence is not the end of the story. It's the space in between chapters. And in that space, both of you are being shaped into who you need to be for yourselves and for each other.